All right, welcome to the Genesee County Compassion Club show. Thanks for joining us this week.
Yep.
I'm your host, Jeremy.
Eric? Yep.
What's up? We got some things we want to share with you this week. We were just talking about it here before the show got started. I want to say thanks to John for having everything happening here in the studio. And every week I come in, it seems like there's more improvements. I'm looking at a new camera right here. That looks new, John.
He's nodding yes.
That's new.
That's
yeah, so thank you, John, and Flint Talk Radio for hosting us. We really appreciate it. And this week we got some info, like I said, we want to share with you. We've had some political things happening here in Michigan, and we've had some stuff going on around the country, in California specifically. Weekly announcements this week for the Compassion Club. We'll let you know what's going on down there, and just get you up to speed on everything. Last week it was Eric and was Perry here last week?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep. Had a good time.
And then we have another episode out there floating around somewhere. We'll try to get that posted as soon as we can. But we thank you for joining us and sharing this information. You can always check us out at Genesee3C.com and, of course, FlintTalkRadio.com to check out our past episodes of the podcast. So if you have a question today and you're watching, you want to call in, please do. We'd be glad to answer it for you if we can.
That's what I was going to say. The phone's not working today.
The phone's not working
I tried
today.
4 times with it, set it up, and it just wouldn't work. We're on a different.
So don't call in today.
Just use a chat. Yeah.
But you can always ask us down at the club. So for those of you who don't know, the club's open 3 days a week, and we are moving now to 4 days a week starting next week. We'll now be open on Tuesdays, same as always, 1 to 9 p.m. And then starting next week, we'll be open Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So new day is Wednesday. But Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday, same schedule, 10 to 6. So
that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, adding another day down there at the club. We couldn't do it without our staff and our volunteers down there and our interns and everybody else that helps out. So we really appreciate all the help. We couldn't do it without you, and we're very pleased that we have enough help to do another day. So excited about that. Hopefully it will help more people be able to have access to come in there. I know it gets very crowded at times, and we just appreciate everybody's attitude and spirits there at the club and continuing to just get along fantastically. So on with the announcements, right?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. I know that as far as the club goes, for memberships, we're up over 2,200.
Oh, wow.
3C. I was trying to get to our website, and I guess I didn't type it all out right. But yeah, over 2,200. I don't know exactly what the number is. We're busy busting out member cards, but going gangbusters, just fantastic. Last Saturday we had another record day. We had 47 new members.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and that was usually we break records on Tuesdays. This is the first time we broke a record on a Saturday, and I think our previous one was just over 40, and now it was like 45, 47 people on Saturday. So.
Awesome.
Fantastic. And again, it wouldn't happen without you guys out there spreading the word about us. We don't advertise. This is all word of mouth.
Right.
So thank you to you people out there spreading the word about the club. Other announcements that we have coming up here, I'm just pulling up our Compassion Club's webpage. And if you go down to the calendar there at the bottom of the page, you'll see that we have our different committees set up here for the month of October. We get the promotions committee happening next Tuesday at the 12th. And we also have the political and the outreach committee, which was on the 30th, and I think we'll have another meeting for that sometime in October. We'll get that on the calendar here shortly.
Be scheduled soon.
Cool. We also have the clinic for Genesee Compassion Club. We'll have a doctor there at the club. This is on the, I want to say it's on the 11th. Yes, it's the 11th. So there's still time to schedule an appointment. If you know someone out there that is looking to see a doctor and talk to them about cannabis as treatment, it would be a doctor there at the Compassion Club on the 11th. That's a Monday. You do need to call to set an appointment in advance. You can reach us at our 888 number. It's 888-240-4206. And also, for all you members of the Compassion Club, if you are looking for a renewal, we will be doing this almost every other week here at the club, having the doctor in, that is. And we're going to be offering renewals through the doctor for $150. So a little bit of a discount, and then also the convenience of being at the club. For new people, if you haven't seen the doctor before, Eric's choking, it's $200. Well, hopefully my co-host is all right there. Yep, there it goes. I heard it. Patooey. Yeah. Manly. Ooh, all right. How do I recover from that? We need some music.
Yeah, just got done over getting sick there about a week ago.
Oh, well, I'm glad to see you're feeling better.
Yeah, looks like I got water in my eyes. That's a good one today, folks. Good thing we're rolling live.
Yeah. The beauty of live.
Oh, man.
So we have the doctor on the 11th, and we'll be having him come again, renewals and new members, or new people, I should say, $200 for the doctor. Just call in to get an appointment. Other things coming up at the club. No other special events that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm probably missing something. I know we have some classes coming up here soon. Another hash making class with Arbuck. And then we also have a tinctures and cooking class with Ramona. I know that's coming up here soon. You got the dates on that, Eric? Is that in there?
That's probably on the website.
I was thinking.
Right.
Yeah, right there.
Boom. October 8th, and from 4 to 6 p.m. is the hash making with Rick.
There we go.
October 8th, from 6 to 8 p.m. is the cooking and tinctures with Ramona.
Okay, so there you go. October 8th, next class dates. That's this Friday. So if you can make it out, if you haven't made it to one of the classes before, they're a lot of fun. It's only $25. They are hands-on, in-depth classes, so you do have to be a card holder to attend the class. And the first one is going to be hash making. Actually using a bubble machine, showing you a couple different ways to make hash, how to process it, and then the class following that right afterwards is showing you how to use that extraction in your cooking, in your tinctures, and in your other types of edible things.
And there's more to it than just, I mean, I know people think that, like, just because you got a machine that it does most of the work.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of little tricks of the trade there that you pick up through a class where you get hands-on experience. I took the class myself, and I'm with Arbuck, and it was very beneficial. It really honed my skills to be able to create that. So yeah,
you can save yourself ruining that first batch.
Oh yeah,
by taking the class.
By taking the class, sure.
And then you can perfect it from there.
Yep.
You know.
Yes, you can.
But it does take a little bit of finesse to get that down. You're right.
Yep, it does. It just takes a little technique. You just gotta learn the little tricks of the trade, I guess.
You know, I just realized I don't have headphones on.
Yeah, I was wondering when you were gonna catch on.
I'm flying commando.
I don't even have sound in my headphone right now. It's like I'm hearing myself talk through a nose pin in my my nose.
Sound in your headphones.
That's what I sound like in my headphones. I
don't know what's worse, me forgetting to put them on, or you having them on and they're not working.
They're not working. I mean, I was like trying to think. Okay, what's going on here? We're not working.
What's your medication today?
I swear, honestly.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Very
Is it too
good.
loud, or?
No, that's about right.
Right.
It's about right. We got our tech in the studio here making some adjustments.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm hearing like an echo.
That's coming from yours.
Ah, gotcha.
Thanks,
It's coming from the other room. We got a late start today, and I don't even have a glass of water because my throat's a little scratchy right now.
I wanted to stop so bad at a 7-Eleven, and I didn't have time. I was already running late, and days. But at any rate,
I just wish I had a little beverage right here.
Thanks for putting up with us out there. We appreciate that.
Exactly. Yeah, we're having a rough go at it here.
We're gonna get you the info though. We promise.
We'll get you. Yeah, we'll get it to you. So. Hey, I want to show these guys. We have a new magazine we call the Chronicle, and we
newspaper.
have newspaper. Yeah. There we go, newspaper. We have called the Chronicle, and it's free at the club to stop in and pick a copy up, and it's got a lot of information in there. Very good information. I'll give you a couple of inside clues. One is you get all the up-to-date information about what's going on in the club on the front page. We have the club classes listed. Club events and activities, as well as just historical moments, like the title of the front cover is "The Year Remembered."
Yeah,
that was a really good article.
Yeah. September was our first year anniversary in the building, so
yes.
I think it's pretty cool. We've been there a year without any incidents, and just been doing nothing but growing. So.
Yep, and there is an insert on the inside of this too that talks about David Layton and Bill Schutte.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of in-depth information in there. It's very valuable when considering voting for the next Attorney General position.
Absolutely. So and also thanks to our writers out there. JC is our editor, and then we also have quite a few writers. Eric also helps out with the paper, JC's brother.
Yep.
And then also we have a couple ghostwriters for the paper as well, so that's pretty cool. And all the photography and everything. We are looking to expand on that as a part of the club, just to help get information out there to keep our members up to date with what's going on with the club and the community.
Are we offering advertising in there too?
Yeah, we sure are.
Awesome.
Yep. So if you would like to get an ad in our paper, just get a hold of us, and we'll be glad to take a look at it.
Excellent.
Other things coming up there as far as club things. I'm glad you brought the paper in. That's one of our big outreaches that we're trying to work on right now to help get the word out there. And we're really just trying to continue to establish ourselves as the resource in the community for cannabis patients out there that are looking for, either a doctor or education or a place to meet other people that are card holders or a place to find medication, a place to find what works for them, and a place that's safe. So being able to do all those things and still have a positive impact in the community. It's pretty cool.
That is.
So, but we've got some things going on here that we wanted to talk about. That's probably it for announcements. I don't have a whole heck of a lot else.
But no,
I think the new day is big enough. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Totally.
But on to other things, news, and talking about the club and talking about how we've been working with the community and so on. For those of you that don't know, Genesee Township right now, that's where the club's at, and they are working on an ordinance right now for medical marijuana. And how they're going to zone it in their community. And I've had a chance to read over their proposal, and I've had a chance to speak with their township supervisor. And next Tuesday, so before the next show here, there will be the Genesee Township Hall meeting, and I believe it's at 6 p.m. at the Township Hall there on Genesee Road. So I, of course, encourage all of our members to be there at that public meeting and just to support us and also show the community that there's a lot of support for this as well. And I'm happy to say that they're working with us. We're going to be perfectly fine. It will not affect us at all in one way, shape, or form. But there are a few points of concern in the ordinance that I think do need to be approached and dealt with. And so I think that's why we need to make sure we have a good showing there. But I also want to remind folks that this is a very progressive community, one that's been very anxious. Well, I wouldn't say anxious, but willing to work with us. So I think it's going to be an overall very positive meeting, but there are a few things, like I said, that we do need to address. So we definitely want to have your support out there. Some of the specific things, it kind of gets into limiting how many caregivers can get together to grow. And, I know there's a lot of folks out there that are husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, partners, brothers, whatever, that are doing this, together in a home as caregivers. And, part of the ordinance could possibly limit that or prohibit that. And, I don't think that that's the intention of the community to prohibit that type of action, but also I know the community doesn't want to have negative impacts based on, people going in and turning a home into a shop. And
sure,
that's not the intent of, I think, of most of our members. And I know that most of our members want to keep the community a community,
sure,
and not turn it into something else.
Well, like I give a couple of examples of that. The importance, I think, of that is to give people the options that they need. I mean, to accommodate whatever the life or lifestyle they have. I mean, obviously, if you have a family that doesn't want to grow in the same vicinity that they're raising their children, obviously you should be able to give them the option to be able to have that grown somewhere else. If they delegate a caregiver to grow at their facility, then yes, give them the option.
Right. And in this actual proposal would provide the option for that. It would just simply have to be zoned in the correct area.
Right.
The only problem, though, is that if you did have two people, they would not be allowed to do it inside of their own home. And so that's a concern. Now, if one person was a patient, one was a caregiver, that would not be affected. But let's say, for instance, Eric and I had the same place that we were sharing and we were both growing there as caregivers. That would be prohibited because we would be doing it inside of a home. Okay, now, if we decided to go lease a warehouse somewhere that met the other descriptions in the criteria for commercial space, that would be okay.
Right.
But again, we also want to be cognizant of the people that are living in their homes and both being caregivers that aren't really changing what the home is used for.
Sure.
They're just using a portion of the home to both be caregivers. So,
right.
And consequently, I mean, if you look at the numbers behind that, realistically, a patient potentially could have more plants than two caregivers, just depending on how many cards that patient has. So realistically, I know what it is that they're trying to prohibit. We don't want the neighbor's house having 25 cars pull in and out of it every day because their patients picking up meds from their caregivers. And we don't want the neighbor's home turning into what used to be a home into what is now a modern-day greenhouse that will never be able to be used for anything else again.
Sure.
We don't want 200 gallons of RO water, filled with a bunch of nutrients and chemicals getting spilled out into the backyard. So, I mean, these are things that do need to be considered. But also, I think, we can come up with sensible regulation that will allow for people to work together when it's appropriate, and then also people to join together and work commercially if they choose to do so.
Right.
So, but that's Genesee Township next Tuesday, 6 p.m. So please make sure you're there or spread the word around to your friends and members at the club and let them know that this is going on. We definitely want to have input, and we also want to have a strong showing just to show, if nothing else, that we are actively involved in the process and that we are listening to our community as we hope that they are listening to us.
Absolutely.
So, other things that are going on in the state,
Wasn't there a change in what was going on at the Silverdome? It's not going to be at the Silverdome.
Oh, yeah,
anymore.
good point.
It's going to be at in Detroit now. They
Coble
changed
Hall.
Coble Hall, yeah.
Yep.
They changed the location because
Yep.
obviously they had some
Oakland
issues.
County is not. Yeah.
Well, there's like a whole bunch of crazy stuff went down in
Yeah,
Oakland County
yeah.
here over the past month or two.
Right.
I'm still trying to figure out that jargon. I'm getting stories. I'm just like, here's
it's
the
really
stories.
quite
It's
simple.
like
in Oakland County, you have a county prosecutor and a county sheriff that do not agree with how people are interpreting the law there in Oakland County.
Right.
Period. And
Yep.
they're going to go to court over it. That's the bottom line.
Yep.
Difference in interpretation. They don't want to allow it the way that they interpret it. And unfortunately, they're not so willing to sit down and work it out. So they're willing, though, by force, to take it to court and spend taxpayer money to figure it out that way. So
Right.
I think it's a bad decision by our community. I think the people in Oakland County should be outraged because they do have people that are willing to sit down and talk this out. But the police department has, county sheriff's department has made a choice that they're going to figure this out, but they're going to do it in court. And
Right.
that results in a higher cost than just having open forum topic meetings, task meetings,
Not to mention-
brainstorm meetings, whatever it takes.
not to mention. I mean, they took these patients medication from them. I mean, now you have patients.
They're
You're dealing with
open.
it.
They've
Right.
exposed themselves to numerous liabilities because of their forced litigation on this.
Absolutely. I mean, you have people without their medication that you've taken it from them now, and so now you're getting into a health issue, dealing with that. You've got other civil rights infractions on top of that. I don't know. There's been many rebuttals on this. I know I've been reading a lot of them lately in that the magazine that's at the club there, the medical marijuana magazine. I forget
Michigan
the name.
Medical Marijuana
yes.
Magazine.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
and they had a couple of different rebuttals on that, not only from the individual writers of the magazine that do certain pages, but also from the direct producers of the magazine as well. They said the same thing on the front, the opening page. So there's a lot of. We're not happy with it. And I did go to that rally in Lapeer, and
Excellent.
that was a very positive for me. I thought it was a very positive thing because not only did it show there was over 100 people there.
Awesome.
I definitely would definitely think there was over 100 people there. There was really what I would call a great turnout for something like that.
Yeah.
And not to mention that it was just conducted very well. It was
Very nice.
very, very well conducted. They had very nice professionally made signs that they had worked hard on making an effort for. They all had T-shirts. They all wanted to make their presence known and a statement to the public. Like, look, persecuting people in wheelchairs and sick ailments or whatever is not the direction that our law enforcement needs to pursue.
Right.
We need to do.
Yeah, if we have a difference and we need to sit down, long ago, not that long ago, but it seems like it, after the law first passed and we tried to figure things out, one of the things we were saying was, hey, we can sit and talk now or we can sit and talk in court.
Right.
And that's what it's boiling out to right now. And unfortunately, people are willing to take it to court. It just doesn't make sense to me. Now, I could understand a city passes an ordinance, a business wants to move in, and then they sue the city because they feel that the ordinance is unfair. That would make more sense, but at least the taxpayers have only paying to defend themselves instead of having an antagonistic approach and just like, oh, we got money to burn, let's go ahead and take these people to court to figure out this mess.
They were showing the helicopter flying around there the other day in the news. Going around, and I don't see the justification in spending that kind of money on that either. I don't. I mean, but not when the majority of the people that they're running into or whatever now are legal medical card holders.
Sure.
Now, as far as I know, that they have not anyone that has a card. They've left them alone in Genesee County that I know.
Yeah.
So it's just as far as that goes, I think our law enforcement in Genesee County is doing a good job of backing off the people who have their licenses, who have their cards.
For the most part.
I think I haven't heard too much, and I've even experienced some of this myself.
Right.
So far it's been okay in Genesee County.
And a lot of people from the rest of the state look at Genesee County and they go, well, yeah, because you guys have, you've got 50 homicides already this year. You guys are gonna, looking to break a homicide record this year.
Right.
Flint is what Flint is. Everybody knows. We don't need to talk about that. But they look at those things and they say, well, yeah, of course your police, considering the fact that you've had so many laid off and departments have been cut, and you have such a violent crime going on, that of course they have other priorities. But the thing is that just in our own county, that's not the only place that things go like that. You know,
Right.
Saginaw is another example. You have the same type of actions going on in the city of Saginaw and in the county of Saginaw. Actually, Saginaw has a higher murder rate than Flint. It's higher on the list as far as the country goes.
Right.
And yet, you know, Saginaw's County Sheriff's Department has spent quite a bit of money chasing after, you know, nonviolent offenders.
Right.
And it seems like, shouldn't we just be spending that money on the violent ones first? At least get that, you know, taken care of, and then we can work on, you know, white collar crimes or you know,
Right.
other types of crimes. You know,
Right.
not that those things should be any less, but obviously, you know, if somebody's stealing money and somebody else is getting murdered, you know, we need to stop the murder first.
Right.
And then stop the thief. They both have to be stopped. I'm not saying
Right.
that,
No,
but
you're right.
you know, it's just having a priority and being able to focus on those things. You know, they just shut down the murder. I forget exactly what the name of the unit was, but it was a special unit up in Saginaw that was specifically built to deal with homicides within the city. And they recently just had to dissolve that entire division because of cutbacks due to budgets. And you know, okay, well, Saginaw's murder rate isn't going down. It's
Right.
getting worse. So I just think we need to place our priorities where they need to go. Most importantly, first, and then start to look at, okay, what these social issues that we're facing.
Right.
You know.
I think a very good direction for our law enforcement would be to pursue the people that are being, are criminally acting, or how should I say this? Are inflicting the legal card holders of the state of Michigan are being afflicted by robbery and theft, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. But I mean, they're being afflicted. But so I think our law enforcement could take a direction in pursuing the people who have victimized our patients and so forth. I mean, that's especially when we have patients and caregivers now having video cameras and so forth in their vicinities and so forth.
Yeah.
They get license plate numbers, video cameras of these people that have done these kind of crimes to them.
Right.
And now they can turn this evidence over to law enforcement without having fear that
Sure.
they themselves are doing anything illegal.
Right.
And so
Yep.
I would like to see that become more of a routine thing. Give this information to our law enforcement. Let them do the jobs that we want them to do,
Right.
and that is catch the people who are bringing harm to our society, bring harm to people. I mean, come on, that's pretty sad when you steal medication from a person that really needs it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a very horrible thing. And
Absolutely.
I think that we need to have a sense of pride in our law enforcement by pursuing those criminals. And that's we need to see a direction of pursuing people that are robbing people with the medical marijuana license and so forth.
Okay. Right on. I can agree with that. There's been a string of them going on, and definitely we want to put a stop to it. That's for sure. So, well, I heard there's another rally coming up here on Thursday in Oakland. Mm-hmm. Is this at the Oakland Sheriff's?
Are you talking about the October the 10th?
Maybe that's it, the 10th.
10th. No, you're asking me if it's a rally at a.
There's another rally coming up, and I think it's tomorrow. And I want to say it's in Oakland County, and I believe it is at the Oakland County Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
Let me see if I can pull it up here.
I definitely encourage people in Oakland County to show up for that too. I mean, we need more. I think we need more open debate about this. We need to have more of the facts laid on the table, and it certainly needs to come from, an investigative journalism. And we need to get a better understanding of what's going on down there, or what they seem to be having a problem with. I don't. I just see these. We don't see these kind of problems in Genesee County because our prosecution is just simply not pursuing them. But they're
not.
They're not pursuing them because
they're not pursuing the issue.
The issue, exactly.
Yeah.
Is what I'm
and
trying
that's
to get
what
at.
you have these other county enforcement agencies. They are
Right.
pursuing the issue. Whether or not it needs to be pursued is certainly debatable.
Right.
I think so.
Definitely.
I'm not sure on the rally tomorrow, so I apologize for not having more information on that. You may be able to find some more information on the blogs, like on the Michigan Medical Marijuana Association, if you're interested in attending. I do think there is a rally tomorrow, but I don't have any more information up right here. Did
you pull up the Michigan Normal website?
Yeah,
too?
give that a shot, or
Okay.
try to pull up the MMMA site.
Okay.
See if there's anything on there. There is, as Eric mentioned, the Harvest Fest has been moved to Cobo Hall. So for those of you that are interested, that is at the end of the month here, end of October. Same event, same vendors as was before. It's just simply the event has moved to Cobo Hall, to a more friendly area out of Oakland County. So Oakland County is now losing business because of their attitude from their law enforcement. So anyways, next subject. There's a poll that came out here. I'll get you some info here. This is from the Detroit Metro Times. Detroit Election Committee has chose not to put the question of legalizing the ballot on November 2nd. Doesn't mean that there's no cannabis drama in this election, at least for Michigan marijuana activists. The contest for Attorney General is crucial. And then it goes on to talk about the options here over Bill Schuette and David Layton. And interesting here is that, Schuette just, I don't want to get into too much here because we've already talked about it on the show numerous times, but definitely Bill Schuette is not the guy that we want for this movement.
No,
he wants to move backwards.
Well, he doesn't think that compassion clubs are a good idea.
He doesn't think that anything is a good idea that has to do with cannabis.
Right. And he himself has used it. He's claimed to have used it more excuse me, more than one occasion. You wouldn't have to have a cough drop on you, would you?
I wish I did.
I'm gonna have to leave the studio again. Whew.
All right, I won't read that article to you. It's kind of just more of the same, but it's really just interesting. This race is coming up. We got a month left. All right, so it's time to buckle down. It's time to get the word out about who supports us, who doesn't. It's time for us to make sure we know who our friends are and who they aren't, and then it's time to make sure that we do get our friends out to vote. So please make sure you do. I'm going to move on to the next subject here. While Eric's taking a break there. On Tuesday, I was able to go to the Capitol. We have having a series of task meetings up there. And I mentioned this on one of our previous shows, and I'm sorry if you missed the information there, but what we're working on here is a group that was brought together. Here he is. Get some water there, buddy?
Yeah.
All right, good.
Up some water.
So I want to share this info with you. Eric and I were talking about it before the show started. This meeting at the Capitol was, it's the second meeting that we had. We're going to have another one coming up in a couple of weeks. It was hosted by Representative Fred Durhol, who is on the Appropriations Committee. He's a friend of George Cushionberry's. He's a friend of ours. And he's the representative from the 6th District down in Detroit. And also one of the representatives has been attending from the Oakland County area. Her name eludes me right at the moment. But we had various representatives there at the meeting from all over the state. Patients, caregivers, people from different compassion clubs, dispensaries. We had folks there from Capital City Compassion Club. We had folks there from Waterford area. We had folks there from all over, really. Also had folks there from a lot of different groups in the state. Michigan Pharmacists Association. We had the State Police, Oakland County Sheriff Association. I'm sorry, I'm going to take that back. But State Police, Sheriff's Association, Prosecuting Attorneys Association, the Michigan Legislative Bureau. We had the DCH there. And then we also had a few other minor groups and also a few attorneys. So a pretty big group. There's probably about 40 people there. Definitely all sides being represented. And the representative hosting the meeting. What it is basically is we're getting together to address all of the different problems that we see in the law and in the program. So really there's two things. We got problems with the law, problems with the program. And so yesterday what we did in our meeting was kind of break up into 3 different groups and talk about these different problems that we're having. Specifically, the first group is dealing with issues at the DCH level, issues with delays in the process, problems with the card, and so forth. The second group was dealing with police issues, problems verifying patients and caregivers, problems with interpretations, and so on. And then the third group was dealing with different legislative concepts and then business ideas, or not ideas, but different concepts of, when people get together, what could these things look like? Mm-hmm. So we identified problems yesterday. We have not got to identifying solutions yet. The legislator, Mr. Durhol, Representative Durhol, has clearly stated that he feels there needs to be a legislative change to our law. That being said, we know that it's going to take a 3/4 majority to have any type of change to this law, thankfully. So if anything comes out of these task force, it is definitely going to have to be with our support, or there's no way that this thing will ever have a chance of passing. So not that we've even identified possible solutions or improvements or amendments or statutes that could be added to this law. None of that has been done yet. We're just simply talking about the problems right now. I think personally a lot of those problems can be solved without any legislative action. I think a lot of the problems are right at the DCH level, with them not getting the cards out in a timely manner, with them having inappropriate, technology. The cards, they look like they're made in a kid's shop. They could be a lot better. They could have a lot better access for people to be able to verify themselves. The problem is with law enforcement, you've got paperwork that's up to 5 months in somebody's hands. There's no way for a police officer to verify if that paperwork is actually valid or not. And that's unacceptable. There's also the cards, same thing. The process is just not there, and it needs to be improved. And I think that's a big issue right there. If we can properly identify who the patients and caregivers are, then police, I think, can be put a lot more at ease in knowing that they're dealing with a legal person here, instead of still questioning whether or not this is just a forgery or some other type of imposter. So I think that's a big problem right there. I think the other thing that we deal with is, when people decide to get together outside of a home, what do we do? What does it look like? And then how do we regulate it? And that's an issue right there. I think that's best left up to local areas to decide what's right for their area. So my feelings are I don't really see a solution or I don't see a need personally for a solution to our law.
Right. I agree with you there.
I don't think there's a problem. I think the problems are around the law, not the law itself.
Right, I agree with you there, and that's totally. I totally agree with you on the local levels, because obviously each area is different, and each local area wants to see a different or has a different view of it as of right now. They don't have a uniform understanding of what these things look like or what they're supposed to look like.
Yeah, and they even admitted themselves, as far as when it comes to even the word dispensary, that communities across the state are having different definitions of what that actually is.
Right.
So with it not being defined or spoken about in the law, it really gives us no direction.
Right. And I think it's really not that difficult to be involved with your local community. They have township meetings and so forth. You can attend these meetings. They're for the public. Go there, put your respect hat on, and just do your part to voice your opinions about what you think your community's adoption of whatever method that we want to see. Basically, I just leave it a broad term. I say, look, patients need safe access.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Yep.
Whatever that model is, or whatever you want to call it, fine. We can talk about that down the road. If you want to discuss what it looks like, then discuss the details of what it looks like from like the curb appeal. I know we've had many talks before, Jeremy, where you had went around originally to all the local areas and tried to talk to them about, like, okay, what you want this to look like. You don't want like a bunch of pot leaves on the front of the building or anything like that, or just you want like a big marijuana sign with a blinking neon light. You want to have it a kosher setting in your community. From a curb appeal, you want it to look respectful, like any other place of business. And so you'd want it to be able to look that way. Patients and caregivers, they're going to know what that place is. But like you said before, this is your quote actually, where you said the school kids would go by and see, you wouldn't want school kids to drive by in a bus,
right,
and see a building and quickly be able to identify with it.
Right.
If we want to keep our children in the dark about that until they're old enough to be responsible, or where they actually need this as a medication, then let's do that. Let's worry about the curb appeal, what it looks like, and where it's located. And of course, the zoning and all that takes precedence.
Like, what are the security things in place, and what are the processes? I think all those things can be discussed on a mutual level, agreed upon. What's acceptable, what isn't for that area.
Right.
And that's the other thing, is that the communities had the intimate knowledge of their own area to say what is acceptable, what would work, what wouldn't work here. And what works in Wayne County is not going to work in Schoolcraft County.
Right.
They're two different worlds. And the people in Schoolcraft are the ones that are going to best know what's okay for them and what isn't.
Right.
So same thing for the people in Wayne.
And
when you start to go say, okay, well then it needs to be this way for everybody. Well, I thought we were in the land of the free.
Right,
that was kind of the point of being able to make our own choices.
Sure, yes.
Yeah. It's Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So, okay, next news here, that's state level. Anyways, we got the meeting next Tuesday or 2 weeks from then. I'll be going back to it. I'll keep you guys abreast as to what's going on, of course, and let you know what's up. But as far as state news, I think that's about it, as far as I can think. National news, we had some action happen in California last week.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. Governor Schwarzenegger signed in a decrim measure, reducing reducing the penalties for simple marijuana possession. It has been now reduced from a misdemeanor down to a civil infraction for all intents and purposes. So it's like the equivalent of getting a parking ticket. It's not going to damage your record. It's not going to send you down a slippery path of incarceration and so forth.
Sure.
It's not going to prohibit you from gaining employment and so forth. It is going to be a fine so that the state will be able to generate some revenue from it. And it's not legalizing anything, but it's just simply saying, hey, you know what? I mean, this is something that we do. We catch you with this substance, we're going to slap your hand and make you pay a fine, just like if you were speeding. And I think, honestly, if you're going to have prohibited substances in this country, I think that's the way you need to deal with it.
Sure.
You slap them on the hand, you make a little money from it, you confiscate whatever it is and destroy it, and you move on.
Right.
Right.
No locking a person up in a cage.
We don't need to drag ourselves down.
Right.
Or them.
Well, I don't want to pay to keep someone in prison for
I don't wanna
just
lock myself down paying for their rehabilitation and all this other crap because they're a lazy slob or whatever it is, or addicted, whatever it may be. They need to deal with those problems on their own. They got themselves into that mess. They need to get out of it. But I don't need to condone their actions. I'll just confiscate what they have. I'm going to make a little pay a fine to pay me for having to confiscate it.
Sure.
And then let's move on.
To cover the cost.
Yeah.
It should cover the cost of what we've paid these people to do.
Yep.
These people are employed by us to do these kind of things to keep our society safe and workable and mobile. And so they're there to do their job, just like anyone else. And so we need these kind of things put into effect to help, give us direction. But I think Arnold Schwarzenegger is definitely he's got the right approach on this, because I've heard him say before that California spent more on their prison systems last year than they did on education.
Yeah, and that's the case for most schools.
And that is true.
And
most
states
across the country. I know, and we need to change that. Obviously, I think that's a big problem in society we're facing, and we need to get away from that.
100%.
I don't agree with Schuette's idea of opening more prisons. I don't understand how that to me is not a direction of reducing crime. You know what I mean? Opening more prison systems.
Well, and especially in an environment of cutting costs, reduce government reduction, all those things.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't sound like any of those things that we've been talking about.
No.
So to me, I don't even know where you could come up with that kind of a game plan.
No, that's really goofy.
All right, I got some updates here for you from the Michigan Medical Marijuana Program. This is a status update as of September 24th. And as of that date, since the beginning of the program, there's been 61,756 original and renewal applications received, 32,859 patients issued. So,
wow.
And also it says on here that if your application was submitted prior to the beginning of June, that it is okay to go ahead and contact the department to check on the status of your application. So if you sent it in May, you can call and check. So also what that means consequently is that the apps that they've received at the beginning of June, so basically like say June 1st through now, which is October 5th, 6th.
Of the what?
What's today?
Today is the 6th.
All right, so you got June, July, August. That's 4 months of apps right there. They've been averaging about 1,000 a week.
Oh, wow.
So you got 4 months, 4 weeks, 16,000. On top of that number there, 72 or 62 basically. Mm-hmm. So 78,000 applications received through today. You can say approximately 78,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Pretty amazing. And, the thing is, you got to take the average of $50 revenue from each one of those applications. It's either 25 or 100.
Right.
So one of the things that I'm going to be bringing up at our next meeting at the Capitol when I get a chance to talk to the DCH, I have some major concerns with that right there. The first thing is, number one, I have 2 patients in the last 2 weeks that have both had their apps rejected, their renewal apps, because they didn't have the proper Social Security proof. Now, they went to the Social Security office and asked for proof. They got a piece of paper, and the piece of paper that they got is what they sent to the state.
Right. They require
the state's requiring a very specific piece of verification for Social Security or Social Security disability or Medicaid. And I think that is bullcrap. I think any proof that's current should be accepted. They don't take Social Security away. We're not qualifying for a loan. We're all trying to get a discount here, and it shouldn't be that difficult to get the frickin' discount. Now, I'm a little pissed about that, and I think that is bullshit. They need to change that.
Right.
So, but at any rate, back to the thing here. You got $50 at $78,000.
No, you have to vent. Go ahead.
Makes me mad.
I hear you. No,
they're renewals. It's not difficult here. It's just a pain in the butt. And you wonder why there's 7,500 apps denied. Well, probably half of them right there because and it says it right there due to incomplete app or missing documentation.
Yeah.
Well, come on. If they send you in a bank statement and it shows last month that they got a deposit from Social Security, that should be enough.
Right. That means they have
if it's the only, I understand you got to be able to make sure it was their deposit and not like the other person's name on the account.
Sure.
But there's a lot of ways to get this done here. I used to verify people's income for a living. It's not difficult.
Right.
And it should not be that hard. It should not be that hard on people. You're verifying a government income for a government discount,
Right.
So this needs to be addressed. The other thing that needs to be addressed is obviously the timeliness that this is being done. I had a renewal that was sent back to me within 30 days back in May. I just got another renewal back in the mail the other day, and it took exactly 60 days. So the process is only getting worse. For me personally, I can't speak for everyone else, but it has not improved yet. The 5 people that they supposedly hired, I don't know how long it takes to train them to verify an application or make a phone call to a doctor to see if the signature's real. But apparently it takes a while because I haven't seen an improvement there from the DCH. And I know I'm being critical of that department who has been friendly to us. But when you're not getting the job done, you are not getting the job done.
That's true.
And you have 50 times 78,000.
Right.
I think it's over 3 million.
Right.
It's not that you don't have the money.
Right. I'm in total agreement with you on there, man. It seems like you had to get that off your shoulder.
Makes me mad. Well, and you know what? I got to take my patient back to the Social Security office, go get another piece of identification, refill out the application, send it back in. He's sweating bullets because he thinks he's going to be expired.
Right.
And I've got multiple sets of paperwork now that I've got to file with and deal with.
Right.
I got the cost of mailing things back in certified, which costs me like $4.50 every time I mail the doggone thing in because I got to make sure they got the card.
Yeah, I think your time is worth more than that. Just the amount of time. Yeah, the amount of time that you took to do all that.
2 of my patients have already said, "Screw it, Jeremy. I'm just going to send in the extra $75, man. This isn't worth the freaking hassle."
Yeah.
And they shouldn't have to do that.
Right.
And $75 is an exorbitant amount anyways. You don't need $100 to process these things.
Right. By the way, thanks, John, for the butterscotch, dude. That really helped my throat. Yeah, had a scratchy throat going on there. Had to leave the studio twice. Never happened to me before, but hey, it happens, folks. What can I say?
It's that time of year.
It's that time of the year, you know what I mean?
Weather changes. And
and then your throat gets all tickly because you got drainage and stuff. Oh, man. Yeah, it is. It is that time of year.
All right, well, I didn't have as far as news, I think that was about it for medical marijuana anyways. There may be some other things out that I've passed over, but the decrim thing's pretty cool. You still have Prop 19 going on in November, so folks in California have the option to legalize. But even if it isn't legalized, it's now been decrimmed.
Right.
And, that's something that the people didn't vote on in California. The governor just decided to do.
Right.
Maybe our governor could grow a set.
Right.
Or maybe not.
It'd be difficult for her to do.
Right.
No,
not going to happen, though.
Right.
But, it just shows sometimes common sense is a good thing.
Goes a long way.
Anyways, as far as news, I think that's about it. Do you have any other fun stuff to cover? Has there been any cool things happening on lately?
Fun stuff. Well,
I'll say something that's not fun. It bummed me out. I drove by it just the other day, and I drove by it again on the way here to the studio. John, I don't know. Do you know when the Homedale school burnt to pieces?
3 weeks ago now.
Yeah. What a tragedy.
Really?
Yeah. One of the real large former schools here in Flint, Homedale School, was that an elementary or middle school?
Elementary.
Elementary school. Beautiful old Mason building.
So the buildings just don't burn down.
Not like that, they
With
don't.
squatters or somebody got in there and burned it down.
Yeah.
They started by accident. Well, they got caught. I guess one of the guys allegedly got caught in that fire.
Oh.
But he got out. But
Oh, okay.
he
That's
was like,
good.
he could have been killed. So
Oh, certainly.
That's a rumor I heard.
It's a very serious structure fire. Most of the building now has been gutted. The walls are still standing, but this was a massive building. It took up over 2 city blocks. And major structure fire, and it's just a tragedy because who owns that? Taxpayers do.
Right.
And I don't know if that building could have been put to use by a useful group, but I think it probably could have. I know that the Flint City has tried to lease things out to nonprofit groups to try to maintain or improve the property while they use it for their functions at a very low cost.
One group looked at it a few years ago, and the estimate they had for just the heating bill alone in the wintertime would have been like $5,000 a month.
Oh, certainly.
Oh,
Yeah, and
certainly.
the cafeteria, the gym, where it also served as a cafeteria. The flooring was so bad you were actually falling through it. So they had to discontinue, even when it was still in operation. They no longer could use that side of the building.
Sure.
So, I mean,
but
it
the
was
other,
already
the
rough.
remaining side of the building was extremely large. And yeah, it would be very costly to operate. Most of these groups, unfortunately, nonprofit, they don't have a lot of money to operate these buildings. But I think that's something that the cities around Michigan should be actively pursuing. Our businesses to come in and take over these former public facilities. Many of them are incredibly large. Many of them are still in very good condition. Most of them do have to be rehabbed, but obviously if you were moving in a business, that's something that you would do anyways.
Sure.
And if that was something that we could do, maybe even giving a type of a loan where, a lot of cities that used to do this, and I don't know if the HUD agency still does or not, but a homeowner could move in if there was a primary residence and they would receive a grant or a loan of say $7,000 or $8,000. And as long as a person used that on their property and then agreed to stay there for a period of 7 years, the city would not have, or you would not have to pay the money back. It was then in turn a grant.
Oh, wow.
If you did move before the time period or sold the property or whatnot, then you were liable for the money. Typically, it would be paid back through the sale of the property in case you did move.
Oh.
The thing is you get somebody into the property now that's improving it, which is an improvement to the neighborhood, increasing property values, and then also subsequently you have someone come in who is now going to be paying tax on that property. Most of these properties that we have these large public buildings on, such as like Homedale Middle School or Homedale Elementary, would return a considerable amount of property tax to the city. A place like that could probably have property tax in excess of $30,000 to $40,000 a year. Many times cities will forgive the property tax on these to allow cities to move in. But we have the unique opportunity in this case to just simply give them the damn building and pay tax immediately. There may be some cities or companies out there that would be very interested in entertaining options like that. My question is are we actively pursuing it? I know it's off topic here for the medical marijuana show, but
Sure.
it's just something that I see constantly happen.
The city doesn't seem to actually actively pursue trying to get occupants for it. There was a rumor that Central High School, the school I went to, is closed up. It closed up like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And there was a rumor that Powers was looking into it, and
Yes, that's
some people
still
were
rumored.
opposing that. I was like, you guys are insane. That's a white elephant for us. Get rid of it. But,
Yeah. Well, and I think that's something that just not only Flint, but I think cities around the state of Michigan should be actively pursuing, trying to find companies to come in and to fill these buildings, whether it be a hotel, a factory, a garden center, a museum. I don't care.
Right.
Just that something's in there and something's generating, if nothing else, at least maintaining the building.
Sure.
We all know what happens to these structures when they're left unattended.
Right.
And it is only a matter of time before vandalism occurs or squatters move in and accidents happen.
Or a fire gets started.
Well, I mean, that's it. And wintertime is coming.
Oh, yeah.
And when people squat in a home, they start a fire.
Sure.
I mean, it's only natural. They're trying to keep warm. You can't blame them.
Yep.
But unfortunately, it usually results in accidents happening. And
Sure.
that's why you have to have somebody in the property maintaining it.
Right.
And if it isn't, you know that's just it's a ball waiting to drop.
Yep.
So our cities know that. They're not uneducated about this fact. Are we taking time to properly pursue options here?
No. I think you have a
don't
lot of
know.
good ideas, Jeremy. I wish more people would hear about. That's a really.
And we've tried. I know the city's tried. I've seen lease agreements where we lease buildings for $1, and we had to take it back because it was the group is not able to maintain that.
Right.
But have we gone back out and tried to do it again?
No.
I don't know. So Anyways, that was my thought for the week. Homedale, and I drove my family by it because I was like, you guys got to see this. It's a beautiful old building. I love architecture, so I'm always checking out old stuff. And I love these old schools. Some of them are phenomenal. You look at, I mean, these were the landmarks of our time 50 years ago, just like any new school that's built today is a landmark.
Sure.
And we drove by it. I was taking the family out for a Sunday cruise, and I drive by this beautiful building that's now a piece of crap. It needs to be bulldozed. Completely gutted. The windows are all busted out. The steel frames are melted. I mean, that was a big fire. Did you get to see it, John?
It's horrible. I mean, it's like the whole roof's collapsed.
Oh yeah, the steel I-beams are twisted now.
Oh wow!
So
you can see right through the sky. You can see right through the sky.
Oh yeah, when you drive by, if you drive by on the way home, you look through the windows to see the sky now.
Oh wow!
So yeah, the entire thing it needs to be demolished, and that's a considerable demolition project. That will cost a lot of money for the city to clean that up. Very well.
Yeah,
very well could be that expensive.
Of course, some of that might be recouped in selling the scrap back.
Yeah, I mean, you have an incredible amount of masonry and steel there that could possibly be recycled or reused. Obviously, the city could dig a pit and bury quite a bit of that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, what kind of things are we looking at now when those things happen? Now, what do we do besides obviously demolish it so that people can't go in there and hurt themselves? But what do we do with that piece of property now? That's 2 city blocks. Could we possibly... Oh, here's an idea. Why don't you freaking make a landfill out of the sucker and put it in a toboggan run? Now you got a place to play. It's cheap. Fixes the problem. I don't know. Idea?
True.
It's already kind of on a slope.
The hill already attracted a lot of people for sledding and stuff. And then down the road was Kersley Park. So it was like that neighborhood had a couple places to...
And there is a neighborhood right around that school. So,
yeah.
I mean, are we...
Right.
That'd be a cheap way to go.
Leaving it up, though, too, will definitely cause people to get hurt and injured because they're obviously going to... People would definitely...
People were already in there when it was boarded up.
Right.
And that was boarded up fairly well. I mean, I drove by that place regularly, and it was...
Right.
Somebody had to rip off a piece of plywood to bust in there.
Right.
So.
Whether it's boarded up or whether it's burned down, kids will still find a way in there to play around in it.
Oh, yeah. Now it's even more of a temptation.
Right. And now it'll definitely become a hazard, a health hazard for the public.
Very dangerous place to be in there now. It's ready to collapse.
I used to do a lot of demolition work.
I wonder how much asbestos is still. Well, there's probably when did that school close, John? Do you know?
That closed about 6 years ago.
Oh, okay. So the asbestos would have been removed then.
No, actually, I think a lot of the schools around here. They just did a containment thing. They didn't remove it. They just did containment. So, see, the worst part about asbestos when you remove it.
Oh, no, that's a big problem. That is a $1 million project now.
Yeah, easily.
Oh, my word.
Because to my knowledge, that was never removed. I think the Flint schools, the bulk of them had asbestos in it, but
they just did a containment.
It wasn't a real issue because it wasn't airborne.
Yeah, well, it will be when that building collapses.
Yeah, that will be now, yeah.
What they'll have to do is they'll have to have like the fire department out there constantly hosing it down with water while they demolition it to keep the dust down.
Oh wow!
And so
there's houses, across the street.
Right, and that's.
I'd evacuate those homes first.
It's very very typical of demolition work because I've done it before, and I've operated the equipment to destroy buildings, but. Commonly that's what we kind of that's a tactic commonly used. They hose it down with and then,
all right. Well, not to bore our viewers and get off the subject here, talking about demolition and stuff. But at any rate, lots of different things. And I guess the one thing we have these ideas and stuff like that, and I hear these ideas from a lot of other people too. I'm not the only one out there.
Right.
There's a lot of people out there. Unfortunately, now we got free time on our hands because there's not work. And, there are a lot of people that still want to work. They're industrious. And sometimes I think there's a lot of people out there that are willing to work just to see an improvement and not necessarily put a paycheck in their pocket.
Right.
If they can have a roof over their head and food in their belly and help improve the place around them, that's enough for most of us.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one. I would definitely use my skills to help do things like that, especially if I see that if it's going back to something or a good cause, or we're going to restore it. Like, okay, for example, let's just say that you did have a little blight area, okay, and you wanted to demolition all the concrete and asphalt out of there. Well, then put the topsoil back in, plant some grass, plant some trees, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Let it go. Let it return back to nature at least, so we have something to look at. You know what I mean? Out the back of our doors instead of a broken down, half burnt building.
No
and then at the same time, if somebody else wants to develop there. it's not a big deal just to go in there and
Dig it back
and
up.
yeah, or harvest the trees that were growing. I mean, shoot, if it's 20 years, you got a big tree there. Now you can harvest it and use it for raw materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I always thought, one of the things that another crazy idea I'll wrap up the show with, maybe. We have a lot of vacant lots in the city.
I don't think your ideas are crazy.
Thanks, Eric. Anyways, we got a lot of vacant lots in the city. Right now, we pay guys to go around and mow the grass in those lots.
Oh, geez.
Couldn't we pay a guy instead to go around with a tractor and actually plant something in the spring that we could harvest in the fall?
There you go.
Like,
That's
I don't know, corn?
a tomato.
Give the shelters and stuff like that. Harvest the food and give it to the shelters. The place up
Dude,
there.
you wouldn't even have to harvest it. If there was a freaking block full of corn, sweet corn, they'd be harvesting it just fine for you.
Right, you wouldn't even.
We don't need to worry about that.
Right, that's
and
true.
same thing, like if it was a pack of tomatoes or a pack of peppers or whatever it is, berries.
That's true.
They'll take care of it. And plus, what a great improvement. And now, you only have to cut it once a year.
Right, right. Yes.
I don't know.
No, that's.
All right, crazy idea number 147.
No, I think your
Put it in
ideas
my
are
little
very
back
good.
book. All right. Well, hey, thanks for joining us this week.
Yes.
Eric, you got anything else?
Nothing, man. I
Hey.
didn't really. No. I think we covered a lot. We always cover a lot in these shows. We always do.
We're full of it. Thanks for joining us anyways.
You and your
Appreciate it.
crazy ideas.
Yeah. See us next week. We'll have some more information for you. Keep you up to date. We'll have the information after the Genesee Township meeting that we'll be attending on Tuesday. Next Wednesday, I'll be probably at the club. Come over here, do the show, and then go back to the club. I don't know. It's crazy. But
It'll be fun.
Maybe someday we'll actually have the podcast posted live at the club so people can sit there and watch it in the club.
That would be cool.
Little crazy ideas that we're working on all the time. Just takes a while for them to actually manifest, so hang in there. Keep donating. We do appreciate that. But thank you very much for joining this week. We appreciate it. Eric and I are going to get out of here and enjoy what's left of this gorgeous day. And if you haven't been outside yet, please go out there and soak up some sun. You're only going to get a few more days like this one.
It's true. All right, take it easy.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Yep.